It's wrong to shoot at the president. It's wrong to shoot the president. There's an obvious reason. And today I want to talk to you about the overlooked reason. I'm Jim Babka. This is a segment we call Instant Grace, a mini version of Grace Archie with Jim Babka. I talk about the zero aggression principle. I talk about human respect and other nonviolent methods. We talk about mimetic rivalry here. We talk about the stuff that has to do with how we get along with one another, because it matters in how we're going to carry out our society and culture and how we're going to govern ourselves. It's all of a piece. And one thing we consistently make clear is that we believe that using violence to achieve political ends is immoral. It's wrong. And that's the obvious part. The obvious part is that murder is immoral. And when someone goes and says, we're going to assassinate the president, what they're saying is that they're going to take on the role of cop, jury, judge, and executioner, because they've decided in their own mind they have the power and the authority to do so. All alone and all at once, they're going to play all of those roles. But no human can have that. And in fact, there's thousands of people who stood out and participated in No King's protest, because the type of people who behave that way are declaring themselves to be kings. So if you're a fan or a supporter or a believer in No Kings, you can't possibly support, agree, or cheer on the notion that someone all alone and all at once gets to be cop, jury, judge, and executioner. Full stop. Now, the person who showed up at the correspondence dinner and was stopped before he even got in the hall, last name was Cole. He had a manifesto that had an impressive list of charges against the president, because he saw himself as the cop, the jury, the judge, and the executioner. But there's something he overlooked in what he did. And there's something lots of people overlooked in the way that they go about opposing the things that they believe in. But this is especially true when someone resorts to violence. It doesn't work. It doesn't change any minds. And if anything, it backfires. It creates the reverse effect that you intended. It provides sympathy to the person that you believed was most guilty. So guilty that you were suddenly going to be the cop, the jury, the judge, and the executioner. So if you were looking to achieve something, you almost always get no gain, but usually quite a bit less. In fact, the way I kind of realized this and come to sit down here talking to you is I saw some of the comments on social media from people who are fans of Donald Trump. And when they read Cole's manifesto, they didn't recognize anything that was there. They rejected it out of hand. And some of them leapt to a particular word that I find bizarre. I don't know why people use this word. Todd Blanche, the Attorney General, used it. He called Cole a coward. Now, typically when there's terrorism, like happened on 9/11, or there's assassins engaged in something, somebody will throw out this word coward, and I don't really understand it. Because a coward is a person who lacks courage, exhibiting excessive fear or timidity when facing danger, pain, or difficulty. It describes a person who avoids risks, often characterized by a failure of character in challenging situations. It signifies a tail turner, one who tails and runs like a dog showing fear. That doesn't really describe the actions of somebody who would do something as extraordinarily dangerous and life-threatening as what an assassin or a terrorist does. What motivated them to think that they could suddenly, though, be a cop, a jury, a judge, and an executioner, all alone and all at once? I would like to see harmony. And we talk about a specific state of grace. Grace Archie is governance by grace. And the way that happens is for people to start finding ways to make peace. If you sow peace, you get peace back. And I think the best advice I could give right now is, if you are thinking that you're really, really upset with the president and the actions that he's undertaking, particularly if you're a believer, you should pray for those in authority. 1 Timothy 2, 1-2 says, I urge then, first of all, that petitions, prayers, and intercession be made for all people, for kings and all those in authority, that we may live peaceful, quiet lives. So pray for them. And not just because you want them to change. Proverbs 21:1 does suggest that The leader's heart exists in the hands of God. There is some power with prayer that could change minds. But that should be like the 20%, not the 80%. Because the prayer that you want to pray is the one that changes you. That takes away your anger, that takes away your fear, that helps you to see with a longer term vision into the future about what will and will not happen and how things will or will not work. And to achieve that, we should be turning to a higher power anyway. The president is not the highest power, and you can do an awful lot to oppose what he's doing by praying. I'm not suggesting that's the be all and end all. You see me here carrying out a message through this show, and many of you are aware of all the various projects I'm working in to try to make the difference, and a lot of you are too. That's all valid, that's all good, but it's all done peaceably. It isn't a good idea to shoot the president. It's morally wrong, and it just doesn't work. So here's a graceful path instead. I hope this thought has been helpful and encouraging to you. Thank you for tuning in to Instant Grace. Please check us out and follow us at the Zero Aggression Project. I'm Jim Babka.